What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to The Fringe. If you joined me yesterday for my interview with Alberta Prosperity Project, things are just getting out of hand when it comes to the country. They answered some great questions, and we've covered a lot of ground on the channel as to where Alberta, Saskatchewan, other provinces may feel that it's time to claim independence after the treatment from its federal government. Well, a new article has come out saying that Ontario and Quebec feel that Alberta are now whiners. They're crying over nothing, that they should just shut up and pay. Divisiveness is going to be a very key integral role as Alberta moves forward, collecting signatures for its referendum ballot. Again, they'll be voting on that ballot in 2026 with the clear question of should Alberta remain a part of Canada. Now, that is not the actual question. Again, I'm waiting until the question is, I know they've formulated the question and they're submitting their question, but until it's actually on paper, I don't want to actually quote what's going on. But as things move forward for Alberta, you can always tell that the governments are scared, that these people who oppose are scared. First Nations chiefs who are talking about, you can't go anywhere, this is the land, it's our land. We've talked about the legal thresholds when it comes to the treaties. Jeff Rath, in fact, during our interview, backing up that a number of First Nations are actually quite excited to cast their ballot. Remember, one vote, one person. The chiefs have no control over what their people decide is best for their future. I wanted to showcase this amazing TikTok video that was sent by Yukon Strong. Let's take a look at what this is, because this really paints a picture of what we've been talking about in Alberta, where are we really going to sit around and be treated like that abused spouse who's told you can't leave, you're not going to be anything without me. This person really sets it up well. Let's go.
Alberta wants to separate.
Yeah, buddy. I served him with divorce papers. You wouldn't believe what a dick he's being about it now, though. I'm like, dude, we don't even like each other. Why stay together? Yeah, keep treating me badly. That'll really make me want to stay. Tell me how I'm nothing without you. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see about that. You honestly wouldn't believe who's already slid into my DMs. Yeah, Saskatchewan's like, I think about you all the time. Let's ride into the sunset together. Yeah, even Manitoba wants a piece. They just hit me with a subtle, how you doing? Yes, British Columbia. I was surprised too. They're like, have you always been so hot? I was like, dude, aren't you married? He's like, yes, but I'm in an open relationship, polyamorous. Have you heard of it? Of course, US of A. They actually hit me up first. Hey there, little darling. I've had my eye on you for a long time. I'll look after you so good, protect you, take you on sunny vacations. Yeah, all these messages make me feel like I'm making the right choice. Yeah, even the kids want us to break up. And they said they want to live with me. Time to look out for number one.
I mean, yeah, that's essentially, now, again, when we spoke with Alberta Prosperity Project, and Jeffrey Rath had pointed out this, this budget, this financial document that's coming forward for Albertans in the coming weeks. They're amending said document right now to really start talking numbers, to really show here's how things are going to be divvied up when it comes to old age pension, when it comes to an Alberta pension plan, when it comes to how do we fund infrastructure, hospitals, roads, military, how do we get it all under control? That's what's going to start painting the picture for Alberta Prosperity. And it's going to be where you start seeing a lot of special interest groups taking notice, because there is a lot of money at stake here, more than you could imagine. Of course, I wanted to highlight this tweet before we get into the article. Rise of Alberta tweeting out, we aren't separating from Canada. Canada has separated from us. Canada separated from the work ethic, freedom, and grit that built the West. We're choosing to remember who we are. And that's important because a lot of Western provinces are jumping on that same board right now. This isn't about separation. It's about independence. It's about saying, look, we don't want universal basic income. We don't want to sit on our butts and dole into each other's equity in order to pay each other out money every month while our dollar chases no goods. We want the ability to work. We want the ability to have a no welfare system, a low tax system where people can prosper, they can earn their living, and actually get ahead without a government standing over top of them asking to fund every stupid little thing they do. But what's funny is, as we go into this article from the Calgary Herald, Ontario, Quebec feel Albertans are loud whiners over nothing, it says. A just-released poll shows us many in Ontario and Quebec and Atlantic Canada don't have a clue why Alberta and others in the West have had enough with Ottawa. Really? Really? Is that where we are? It says here, the Angus Reid poll confirms that the city, a rat-a-tat-tat of emails fired into the inbox whenever the idea of Alberta being screwed around by the Liberal government in Ottawa comes up. The incoming abuse almost always from Ontario, the self-proclaimed center of the universe. There are a few missiles shot from Quebec, often the favored ones in this country called Canada. Now, again, as I sat down in that interview with APP, you guys should really go check it out from yesterday. Again, Jeffrey Rath stating that, look, if Alberta gains its independence, Quebec would follow suit very quickly, because if they're not getting the billions in transfer payments from Alberta, why would they stay a part of Canadian Confederation? They would leave. They would utilize their utilities, their abilities to become their own independent nation and support themselves. You'd see Saskatchewan quickly following up that ranks. This is why I keep saying that this isn't just Alberta. This is what's going to affect the future of this country. Many people saying Mark Carney is going to be the last Prime Minister of Canada. The article goes on to say that once in a blue moon, a voice from one of the Atlantic provinces blurts out the same message, like, Albertans, you make me sick. You've got all your stupid oil. Why don't you just shut the hell up? Well, it's funny when that comes from Atlantic Canadians, because the Atlantic provinces tend to come out here for work, take our money, and go back east while they claim welfare for another 6 to 8 months and then come back and do it all over again. Alberta whiners, you're all a bunch of redneck losers. We built you a pipeline. What more do you want? Alberta Premier Danielle Smith, they loathe her. You get the idea. Then there's the poll. People are asked if they believe Western Canada, of which Alberta is a big slice of that pie, complains too much. The majority in Ontario say yes. Too much belly aching out west. Again, guys like the Brantford Boomer. Now, don't let me paint that a picture that all of Ontario, all of the Maritimes and Eastern Canada are against Alberta and the West. Just about every viewer on this channel that comes from out in that direction of the country supports what Alberta is doing. And they said, but we're talking about guys like the Brantford Boomer here. That say, you guys are just whining, you're belly aching too much out west. It says here that the majority in Quebec agree. As to the Atlantic provinces, well, it's pretty hypocritical coming from Quebec, given that they're the ones that are threatening to leave all the time. In the last 6 years, the numbers who believe that complaining has gone too far has grown. It says here, my guess is if Angus Reid pollsters had only asked about Alberta complaining and not lumped into the province in with other Western provinces, those saying there is too much complaining out there would be even higher if it were, again, strictly Alberta. This is just the beginning of the picture. When Albertans are asked about the West's political power, 3 out of 4 Albertans say the West has too little power. Again, our seats in the Senate are minimal compared to what Atlantic Canada has. Atlantic Canada has control over the Senate. They have control over who runs the country. Meanwhile, Alberta, I believe Alberta only has something like 4 seats in the Senate. Ontario, Quebec, and down east feel we have just about the right amount of political power, which is almost squat. As for the West's economic influence, that's a big question in Alberta, since the province gives Canada more than it gets and receives more contempt than respect in return. Of course, Albertans believe the West has too little economic influence, but you guessed it, Ontario and Quebec and the Atlantic provinces think the West's economic influence is just fine the way it is. It really is stunning, it says. Folks in Ontario especially think the Parliament of Canada treats the province fairly. No kidding. A very different story in Alberta. The majority don't think we are treated fairly by the politics in Ottawa. Also, no kidding. It makes sense when the poll also shows an overwhelming gut reaction in Canada's political system puts the West at a disadvantage. Then a big question, in the West treated unfairly by the rest of Canada or not? A strong majority east of Manitoba actually feel the West has been treated fairly. Oh, this is so comical. I'd really love to hear how they came to that conclusion. Fewer than 1 in 3 Albertans are feeling fairness. After all that has been done in the news for the decades, to say nothing in the history books, after all the demands for a fair Canada coming out of the West, how could anyone possibly not know about the long-standing discontent in the West? As for the last 10 years, east of Manitoba, anyone home when the stores stories showed how the federal Liberals were putting the boots to the Alberta and Saskatchewan. No wonder this recent poll shows the overwhelming sentiment in Alberta and Ontario, and Quebec have no idea about the West and its priorities. By the way, it says, I was just talking to a most perceptive individual in Ottawa who agreed many people she runs into in Ontario haven't got a clue. Alberta may as well be a place featured in a National Geographic special on Earth's far-flung locales. We've come full circle. Most individuals in Ontario, Quebec, and Atlantic provinces figure we have the amount of influence in this country we should have, and we are being treated fairly by the rest of Canada. When Albertans complain, it's seen as whining by people who don't see a problem or don't see one. And that is why it is a fight for Alberta to get any agreement on what people should do in a simple matter, like deep-sixing liberal anti-oil policies, hurting the country and making Canada more dependent on the U.S. And that is why there is frustration and there is anger, and more than a few Albertans are losing faith or have lost faith in Canada. Rick Bell says here from the Calgary Herald. Now, Rick Bell, very good columnist. The reason I highlight this article is because while everybody says Alberta isn't going anywhere, Alberta's not going to move, many people were questioning when we live streamed the Alberta Prosperity Project Town Hall. How come there wasn't more energy? How come people weren't cheering and screaming and shouting and applauding? Because the majority of people that are coming there haven't even contributed their name to signing for allowing us to go to a referendum. These are people looking for answers to their questions. And when those people are coming into these events, these venues, they're leaving, pledging their names to vote yes on Alberta independence. What Albertans are slowly starting to realize, the ones that are on the fence at least, is that nothing is going to change from the East. In fact, all this poll shows is that they're still complacent, ignorant, and set on their ways, that Quebec, of all places, that takes $16 billion a year from Alberta, is turning around to say that Albertans have no reason to complain, they have no reason to bellyache. Does this sound like a province that wants to work on Team Canada, that wants to build a pipeline, that wants to ensure the country's economic superpower comes to fruition? I don't think so. It's very apparent moving forward that Eastern Canada has forgot about the West, and the West is striking back more than ever. In fact, David Bexty, I apologize. I'm used to saying David Eby. David Bexty, Cian Bexty's father, who's also a Conservative MP in the House of Commons, made a very compelling speech to say Alberta should not be taken lightly. Other provinces should not be taken lightly. There is discontent in this country, discontent that our Canadian government does not wish to do anything about. Where do people think the votes are going to go from there? It's only going to build sentiment for independence, if you ask me. I guess time will tell. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Do you think that there's too much belly aching in the West? Do you think people are complaining too much about the federal government? Let me know your thoughts down below. If you think Angus Reid should go pound sand, let me know that in the comments as well. If it's your first time here, I hope this video has earned your subscription. Make sure as you click that bell for notifications, you turn them on for all notifications so that you never miss a beat when anything drops on this channel. Leave a thumbs up and a comment down below. It helps us get this video out there for folks. Join me live here on the channel each and every Friday night for Friday Night Fringe, my weekly live streaming show, where I'm joined by the beautiful Mrs. Fringe as we go back and forth with everything that happened this week in politics, everything we know coming up in the week ahead, as well as back and forth Q&A within the greatest YouTube community on the platform. I always look forward to talking with you guys outside of making these videos. I most importantly look forward to talking with you this Friday night starting at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central here on the channel. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.